Okay guys, we're going to do a quick oil pump alignment and throttle cable setting. And I have this nice little lizard cam that works very well. You're going to need a flashlight, and you're going to need two 10mm wrenches. And what we're going to do is, first you want to make sure that your linkage between the two carbs is broken, or not broken, but just disconnected. Okay. Now, of course, when you have your carbs together before you put them in, you want to make sure that they're synced. You can also make sure that they're synced here, so this way, when this is closed, this one will be closed, so they're both linked and synced together. But today we're going to discuss how to do this throttle cable and oil pump setup. So this one on the 951, it's this outer one here is your throttle cable. And what we want is a few threads here showing. And we have it set. So then when we pull the throttle, you can see that right there. Grab my flashlight. Okay. That's our idle screw. And you want it so that sorry for the bad lighting. So that this here, you can see that comes in and out, and it'll push against that little lever. You want this all the way, basically, so it's not touching it. So we're at 0. So we're going to be at 0 right there. Sorry, I dropped my flashlight. And we're going to set this so that when this pulls like that, if we can grab this cable and if we can pull it and that still moves, this right here, if that still moves and we can pull that, we have slack, then we're not opening all the way up. So like if I were to adjust this, I'll take this, there's a nut on both sides, let me loosen that up. So if I were to bring this in, so we're going to make this cable go in so it's more toward, I'll tighten this one, just finger tight. Okay, so you can see I'm pulling that cable and I have slack, so there's still play, it's still opening. See that? And that's just for me. The lever is all the way open, all the way down, but I still have slack. So you want to get that to where when you do that and you don't have any slack, so we're at 0. So that's all the way open. So that's our goal. So we need to pull the cable that way. And it's really hard to do this with one hand. So let me see if I can set my phone right there. Okay, so I'm gonna loosen this front one, the front nut, so I can bring the cable, tighten the cable a little bit, and then tighten that back nut, and then we'll see where we're at. Okay, so I'm doing this, pulling, I got my hand here holding the throttle, and then I'm tweaking this cable. And she's basically has just a hair movement. You can't even see it. Just a little vibrating. So that's where we want to tighten her up at. So we're at 0 with that throttle cable, so we're opening all the way up. I had a friend who after doing his carbs, he wasn't getting as much speed. And well, his throttle cable and his butterfly, he wasn't opening all the way up. He had to readjust it. So, and when doing this, you always want to do your throttle cable first. Get that tight. So, there we go. That's tight. Okay, so you see it moving. You can see this moving as I'm pulling it. So I've got it held low, and I'm going to pull the cable a little bit. Yep, and it's, you can hear just a hair. So that's about as good as I'm going to get. So now we're going to set this idle. Sorry for the bad lighting. This idle right here. We're going to turn that just until it just barely touches that because we don't want it to open up. There we go. So it's at right there. So we're just barely touching it. So we're just barely touching that plate. So then once we get it started going, we'll I'll probably go. So now we're still at 0. Now we're gonna hook up this linkage. A good way to check is, you can hear that, so we know it's closing. And yep, it feels like it's right. And then we'll just snap this ball end back on that one. There we go. So now we know we're synced. At least 99.9% there anyway. So that's our throttle cable set. Now we have to set the oil pump. And for those of you that like to do the oil pump, so we have this loose. We have our cable run to the bottom, and it shares that. So anytime the throttle is pulled, that oil pump is pulled. Okay, and this is where the lizard cam comes in handy. Okay, I'm gonna put my flashlight down there to shine. And I don't know if the phone camera is going to be able to get this lizard cam, but what we're wanting to do here, I'm going to pause it and get this set up. Okay, excuse the light. I got the lizard cam wire wrapped around there, and it's pointing at the oil pump. Okay, let's see if, so basically we have the mark here on the spindle that moves. You see that little groove? And then we have the fixed mark right there on the place that doesn't move. We need those two marks to line up. Now I'm going to pull the cable, pull the throttle, and you can see that move. See how far off we are? It needs to be at that mark when we're at idle. So when we're at 0. So we need to, okay, so we need to move the cable. We need to move this cable, which is this bottom one right there. We need to move it out. We need to move it out that way. Okay, so pretty sure it's the right way. It can be opposite on some of the other ones, but now I'm paying attention. I'm looking at my camera here, try to get her aligned and see how far off we are. Okay. Oh, that's so close. That's so scary to the end of the thing. Okay. So let's see if we can. You see that? See the marks? That mark right. That mark right there on the thing that moves, and the mark with the fixed point. can see it. We're like right there on it. So we'll tighten it up where it's at. Grab my wrenches. And of course, the shock gremlins took my other 10 mil. Don't you love that? Where did the other 10 mil? There it is. Okay. Now we'll get our wrench on that front one that's behind the other side of the plate. And this is a lot easier to do when we don't have this return line. I'm gonna take this return line off. Okay. Now I can get a better rotation. And sometimes when you tighten the nuts, your cable might move. Kind of have to compensate for that. You can adjust it so you're running a little rich if you want. We're going to be doing some pre-mix on this for break-in. Get that good and tight. Let me check my alignment. Camera moved on me. So, I'm sorry for that. I'm going to pause it real quick. Okay, so after some adjustment, it's hard to see, but we got our mark there. Let's see if I can move this camera. And you can see the mark, and the mark is right in the center. So I just got to get that tightened up. Again, hopefully it stays. Like I said, it takes up some fidgeting back and forth. Normally it takes me 2 or 3 tries to get it to land. You want it to land right after you get it tightened, so it's, you don't move that. So let me get this okay. So camera, you can see the marks. Let's see if I can bring it in closer. So we're lined up and we're good. I can pull it out a little bit to add some tension, and that'll make us set. That'll make us run a little richer. Now the good thing about the oil pumps is they never really fail. What happens is these oil lines, the original oil lines, will get brittle and break, and then of course your filter, your injection filter, people don't change those, and those get clogged up. So then you're not getting oil. Those are your primary causes for oil pump failure. There have been a few cases where, of course, your cables can rust out and corrode, and fail and break. That's probably one of the weakest links. And then there's also a spring on there that's that spring back behind it. Sometimes they can break. But the thing is, if the cable breaks or the spring breaks or any combination thereof, then the pump will actually go to full open. You'll be running really, really rich. It's better to run rich get too much oil and foul your plugs than to run lean and smoke your engine. And if the pump cable on this end is fixed, so there's no really adjustment, just get it tight. I'll show you guys an example of a frayed pump cable. Let's see, where did I put it? Let's see. I took it off. This one had a frayed pump cable. It's probably right in front of me and I'm not seeing it. I've got a mess here. Oh, let's see. No, it's in the box. Okay. So here we have the original pump cable. You can see it's fraying. Look at that. Holding on by a thread. So, yep, this one's pretty much shot. I'll probably cut it and save the nuts and washers. Always good to have extra ones of those. And you can buy these brand new from, where did I get this one? This was off of SBT, I think it was, or Amazon. No, Amazon. Yeah, jetskiparts.com. I think I got this off their eBay site. Yep, so oil pump, injection cable, compatible with 98 GTX, GSX, and XP. So these are still available. This is a brand new one. I think I got this one. Yep, $23.94. So $24. So yeah, I had bought this one because when this was in storage, I couldn't remember if I bought a new one for it or not. I just remember when I was doing the carbs before I brought the ski home, I had the carbs in the trailer and I was doing the carbs. I saw the bad cable, so I'm like, oh crap, I got to order another one. Then as I went to go put them in, I realized I already bought a brand new one and already had that installed. Already had it hooked up to the oil pump. So yeah, I've got another one here. This will probably go on. I'll keep that as an extra for the 951 build, or another build. So that's how you align your oil pump, and it's very similar on the 800s. Let's see if we have. I think I took the oil pumps off on these already. Yep, here's one. So same style deal. You got your mark. I think on these, yeah, I can't say, I don't have enough light, but as you can see, there's a spring back there, and yep, you can see the mark, the fixed mark right there. And we want it to line up with that mark right there. Of course, we're not hooked up to the carbs, but when you're idle, that's where you want to be. Now, of course, I could have took the oil pump off and had it in my hand, and it would have done the same thing. I wouldn't need the camera. But I like using the camera because it's a pain in the butt, because I already Loctited those screws and got all that done. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know. It's very similar for the 720. You got your marks, and of course you want, like I said, you want to do the same thing with your throttle and your carbs. Get them to zero, get the throttle to zero, and then get that all tightened, and then do your pump. So if you have any questions, let me know. Appreciate comments, subscribe, and hopefully we'll get this one done and on the water for the customer. See you guys later. Peace out.